would say that, especially for this generation of younger journalists who are coming of age in the era of the Edward Snowden documents, of WikiLeaks, of government surveillance on the metadata of journalists and many, many millions of people in this country and around the world. I would say that William Worthy is the single most important journalist that they've never heard of. And I think that if Bill Worthy was a white journalist and had not been an African-American journalist, that he would be much better known than he is right now. I actually came across William Worthy quite by accident. I had never heard of him. I was researching the correspondence of David Dellinger, who was one of the most famous pacifists in American history. He was one of the defendants in the Chicago 8 conspiracy trial stemming from the anti-war activities during the 1968 Democratic Convention in Chicago. The correspondence between David Dellinger and the founder of the Catholic Worker Movement, Dorothy Day. The Catholic Worker, of course, founded in the early 1930s, was an anarchist pacifist movement of the laity within the Catholic Church. And Dorothy Day and David Dellinger both had traveled to Cuba very early on in Fidel Castro's first few years in office following the Cuban Revolution of New Year's 1959. And in the course of reading the correspondence between David Dellinger and Dorothy Day, where they were debating what the position of pacifists should be on a violent revolution, the outcome of which they supported because it overthrew this violent dictatorship of Fulgencio Batista, I came across the name of a journalist I'd never heard of named William Worthy, and I read the correspondence of the three of them debating these issues, all of them having been to Fidel Castro's Cuba, and I was stunned at the brilliance and eloquence of these letters of William Worthy, where he was articulating his defense of the Cuban Revolution very, very early on. And I wasn't sure if William Worthy was still alive. This was in 1997. I wasn't sure if William Worthy was still alive or where he was. And I managed to track down a relative of his in Boston, who then gave me a telephone number for him in Washington, D.C. And I just called him up on the phone and said, could I take the bus down? Up a friendship that endured over the years, and he really was a mentor to me. And Bill and I had talked at some point, about I really wanted to write his biography because I just found him to be such a fascinating person, and his insights were just incredible. And what to me was sort of amazing as a young person who was aspiring to be a journalist was that Bill Worthy was a man of impeccable principle. He would constantly talk about the struggle for African people around the world to carve out states for themselves, to fight for their rights. He did not believe that there was a such thing as an objective journalist at all. He believed in being on the side of the poor. He believed in being against empire. He believed in holding those in power accountable. And it was really through Bill Worthy that my passion for journalism led me to actually want to work at Democracy Now! And so I remember, Amy, you came into the Catholic Worker that day, and I had invited Bill Worthy up to New York to give a talk about his experience in Cuba, and we played that song at this event where he was speaking, and I introduced him of Phil Oakes, where Phil Oakes talks about how when Bill Worthy went to Cuba against the wishes of the U.S. government and without a passport because it had been taken away from him for his previous travels to other countries where the U.S. didn't want him to go, and Phil Oakes wrote that song, The Ballad of William Worthy, where he sang, William Worthy wasn't worthy to enter our doors. He went down to Cuba. He's not American anymore. And so you and I actually met there at the Catholic Worker. And I think, I've heard you joke about it before that I came up to you in the middle of a sentence and basically said, you have to talk to this guy. And then next thing I knew, I was bringing Bill Worthy into Democracy Now! To do that interview that we've been playing parts of today.
Well, to be more exact, you started mid-sentence saying there's a man here who you need to interview. And I said, well, sir, what is your name? And you said, my name isn't important. What's important is the name of Bill Worthy. And that's how I met you, and I met William Worthy.
I mean, just one thing I want to recall. Bill Worthy did this incredibly important work that Randy and Scott have been talking about regarding Iran, but also traveled to many, many countries around the world and often told stories that were meticulously documented that contradicted the official version that Washington was projecting around the world. And he was sort of the quintessential unembedded journalist, and was just a remarkable man. And I mean, I feel honored to have known him, and it's just a treasure to hear his words being played today.